Welcome to this series where I read nothing but newspaper articles written about one person. There's no good place to start, so let's just start with the obituary. Local Juaneño chief dies in Orville at age 72. Clarence H. Lobo was a school bus driver and a construction worker and a tour guide. Mr. Lobo, 72, was also the proud chief of the Juaneño Indians, a tribe that hundreds of years ago had the run of Orange County. His 39-year reign ended last week when he died of a heart attack at his home in Orville. He always made us proud of who and what we are, said Marguerite Lobo, his sister who lives in San Juan Capistrano. Lobo was born September 12, 1912, in the Little Hollywood section of San Juan off of Los Rios Street. He attended San Juan Elementary School and Capistrano Unified High School, his sister said. In 1946, he was elected chief of the Juaneños, a loosely knit tribe with about 1,000 members, more than 300 members living in San Juan. Speaking to a local Rotary Club in 1951, Lobo pointed out a series of treaties signed in the 1850s between the U.S. government and California's Indian tribes had left out the Juaneño, making them ineligible for their own reservation or to get compensated for land. He was later elected president of the California Mission Indian Band and lobbied local, state, and federal government officials for compensation for what he considered land stolen from his people and other Indian tribes across the state. He once staked out and set up camp for several months at a nearby Cleveland National Forest, declaring it the property of the Juaneño, said Pam Gibson, who mentions Lobo in her book about the history of San Juan Capistrano. Lobo conducted local fundraisers. In the early 1960s, he spoke to President Kennedy in Washington, D.C. about the plight of the state's Indians. His efforts were later rewarded with a $2.9 million settlement distributed to Indians throughout the state. Evelyn Villegas, another sister still living in town, said Lobo was dissatisfied with the agreement, saying more money should have been given, and sent his check, which totaled only a few $100s, back to Washington. His letter to then-President Johnson reads, "You probably need this more than me," she said. Villegas said the Juaneño tribe is still petitioning the Bureau of Indian Affairs, which still does not recognize the Juaneño as a tribe and eligible for assistance. Lobo served on the San Juan Capistrano Planning Commission from 1962 to 1964. He was a founding member of the San Juan Capistrano Historical Society. He often led tours of the city during the 1960s. Villegas said her brother was a loyal family man who spoke eloquently, especially when the subject concerned Indians, despite his limited education. He worked construction, drove a truck for a local clay mine, and drove a bus for the Capistrano Unified School District, she said. Because of health reasons, Lobo and his wife, Bess, retired to Orville in 1955. The last time he visited San Juan Capistrano was in April to look over recently renovated Harrison House and the Para Adobe. He always felt the local Indian people respected him, but the city never did, Villegas said. He was quite impressed with the museum. Lobo's ashes will be buried atop his mother's grave at the San Juan Capistrano Mission Cemetery. His funeral was Saturday at the San Juan Capistrano Mission. Local Indians are unsure who will take Chief's place. This article is also adorned with an image, a famous image, him wearing a headdress. Juaneño Chief Clarence H. Lobo wearing a Sioux headdress. Lobo often wore the headdress to public functions after discovering people were disappointed he didn't dress like an Indian.